Hey y'all, it's your girl Nadia.
And it's me, Coach T.
And we are two average people.
Yes, we are.
Hey,
and today, we are going to be doing a reaction video with Lala Anthony. When she sat down with DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God, let's hear what she has to say.
I came up here and she was hot. She was on fire. I don't know why. She came in at 6 o'clock this morning, was on fire. She was like, I have something I want to talk today on air, so I'm going to let her go.
Say, F marriage.
Yeah,
like,
so
whoa.
I was talking about, I feel like currently marriage is not a goal for people. I don't hear people who aren't married saying like, I want to get married. You just start hearing it less and less. Like before that was a goal, like before social media and just the way people interact now. I'm not in conversations with people who are talking about like, I can't wait to meet someone and get married. Now people say, yeah, I want to meet somebody, be in a relationship, you know, have this bond, but I don't need the marriage piece to feel like it's successful. And most, I'm not saying all, be careful with my words, most married people that I know are miserable and not happy and don't want to be married. They would prefer to be single. And what's happening is people look at the stats and they say, oh, well, divorce rates are going down, but the issue is less people are getting married. People don't want to get married.
Now, Lala, the first thing people are going to think is, Lala be in a lot of weddings.
That is true.
They're going to start looking at all the weddings you've been in over the last few years. They're going to look at your friend circle that's married, and they're going to be like, is Lala saying that they all miserable?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm because you're just talking about I'm saying in
general.
general.
Okay,
in general.
Well,
in general. I don't talk to people in general who are just like, marriage, yeah, love my marriage. Yeah, it's just not what you hear.
Man.
You guys are a small minority. And what I'm saying is people who are not married, hear me out, I don't hear them talking as marriage, looking at marriage as a goal.
Damn, Lala choosing violence against married people this morning.
Looking at marriage as a goal, but the reason I want to talk about it because I want to get a better understanding of why. And also people are starting to feel like marriage is really just a business agreement between two people. It's like, I don't need that. I'd rather meet somebody, you know, have love, have loyalty, but I don't need the marriage part of it all.
Now, people are going to also say Lala feels that way because Lala just recently got divorced.
And that's okay.
Well, let's talk about it when we come back. We'll take some calls. Is marriage still a goal? 800-585-1051. Let's talk about it. Call us up.
Wow.
So yeah, first of all, let me start off by saying shout out to Lala Anthony and shout out to the Breakfast Club, shout out to the Jasmine brand, which is where we found this clip, and shout out to the Black Marriage Movement. We found you guys on IG. We love you and your content. We got your back. Now let's talk about this clip.
This is interesting, babe.
Yes, I find it very interesting. Although, if I'm being honest, I don't disagree with her point.
She has some really valid points.
Yeah,
that I think is important that we touch on.
Yeah, and I didn't actually know she was. I guess I didn't remember she was divorced.
Same.
But now that I'm thinking about it, even after Charlamagne was like, "Oh, they're gonna say you only saying that because you're divorced," I didn't even remember, and her words didn't ring. With that,
she's just a divorced person.
She's just mad and bitter about being divorced. It didn't ring like that at all. It was just like people don't value it.
Agreed.
And I don't know that I disagree. I think people don't value it, and I think it's in people not valuing it that really is leading to what people see as a decline in our society, and in our African American, Caribbean American culture specifically. I think it's extremely damaging, and I'm just gonna call it spade a spade. But yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think, you know, the one part that jumped out to me was when she said, you know, nowadays it's just a business arrangement, and it, you know, and not to knock on the celebrities, but I feel like when you get to that level, yeah, kind of is. Because I mean, because you know, y'all have money, you know, there's nothing that you really can't buy yourself, and so. Yeah, you want companionship and you want all of the things, but when you're dealing with so much of material things and money, at some point business does step into it, and you know, a lot of the, you know, that's when prenups and all those things come into play. But to her point, I think that it is, what she is saying is true, and I do ask myself, well, why do aren't people not talking about marriage so much? Is it because of what they hear other people saying? Is it, are they just saying that as a defense? Because see, that's sometimes what I think.
Okay.
Like, I'll hear people say, oh yeah, I don't want to have children, or I don't want to be married, and then a month later, hey, I'm engaged, and I'm like, or hey, I'm pregnant. I'm like, once you know, I remember
that was you like yesterday. Why did you didn't want anything to do with it? You said you would never.
So
what happened?
I'm like, I really wonder how many people are really truly believing, or like it's fact that they don't want to get married. I didn't say that right, but you guys get my point. Because I remember having a conversation with, you know, a coworker years ago, and it was a group of us, and we went out to eat, and she was like,
what'd she say?
She was like, I was like, so are you dating? Are you? And she's like, yeah, no, I don't need that. She pretty much was like, yeah, I don't need that. I don't want that. I don't, you know, that's just not, I don't need a man, essentially, you know. And so, but months later, she started dating a guy who was giving her a whole bunch of uncertainties, I'll say it like that. Like, he was just, you know, she didn't know if he was really trying to be committed to her, you know, she couldn't get it. And she would talk to me about it, and I'm thinking, wait, didn't you just say you don't need a man, and you're dealing with all of this from the man who she's not married to and has a child with? So, like, I feel like she was saying that she didn't want to be married, or she didn't need a man, to protect herself, because she didn't know or didn't feel like that could be a goal in the future for whatever reason.
But then it just kind of feels like when you do that, when you tell yourself, well, I don't want a man, when in fact you actually do, or I don't want to be married, when in fact it just kind of, to me, seems like you're cutting yourself off from being able to prepare yourself for that time properly. So then that time comes, that relationship comes, and you have no idea how to manage it, because you're either stuck on what happened previously, or you just didn't take the time in between to be ready for that situation when it showed up. True,
but I don't even think that that's truly how they feel. That's not how they're moving about the cabin. They're just telling everybody else that, so that they don't look like something's wrong with them.
That's my point.
But they're not actually moving that way.
In doing that, the consequence is you don't get prepared when it does actually come around. Because when you talk like that, the assumption is it will never come. So therefore, I just don't want it anymore.
But that's not, I don't think that that's what they're actually doing. I think they are on, those same people, some of them, not all of them, those same people are on the dating websites. Do you see what I'm saying?
But my point is, being on the dating website isn't preparing yourself for a relationship. You see how those two things are different, right?
Saying,
I'm not trying to just get back into another relationship. I'm trying to
learn
from what I did or didn't do before, change my behavior pattern, and arrive at a different result than what I normally have been arriving at.
Right.
So that I can have a better result at the end. You don't do that part.
Yeah.
You just try to get back into a relationship because that's what you want.
True.
Or say you don't want, but do want. This is complicated.
Well, yeah, but think about the person who does say, okay, this is what I truly want. I'm going to do all the things that I need to do to prepare myself for a relationship. But then here they're 40, 45, 50, whatever age they deem is too old. And they still haven't found someone that they can really spend the rest of their life with, you know? And that's why it's important that you do these things for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's important that all the things that you're going to do to prepare yourself to be in a relationship with someone, you do for yourself. You make yourself a better person.
We talk about self-care and why self-care is important. And when we start with self-care, we can have a better united front on how we care for each other, because when we lock in with that self-care, we can better easily lock in with the needs of our partner, because we good. I know how to make sure I'm good.
Right.
So I don't have to focus on it. I can focus on if she's good. And that means she doesn't have to focus on if she's good, because I got that. She can just focus on if I'm good.
Right.
And vice versa.
Right. Right. It's so important that you definitely do this for yourself, because as you're working on yourself, when you do find that person, if that's what you want to do, or if that's what you know happens, then you can be somewhat prepared for what is to come.
Absolutely.
But to her point specifically about whether marriage is if people just aren't getting married anymore. I don't know. I think that one is tricky for me because I feel like a lot of people who are like, yeah, I don't need to be married as long as we're together and we're, you know, doing our thing. Yeah. It's cool. However, what does that say about expectations, right? Because are you going to expect this man or this woman who you're doing your thing with, you know, you guys are committed to each other, are you going to expect certain things that you would expect in a marriage? I don't know. And maybe you just don't put that title on it. I don't know. But I feel like the expectations really need to be clear if that's going to be the path that you choose. I don't believe everybody should be married. However, I don't want to write it off as something that can't work, won't work, can't be beautiful, won't be beautiful either.
Right.
So you really have to answer her question specifically. I think people still do want to get, maybe not as much as before, or maybe it just looks a little different than it did before. I don't know, but
I don't know.
That's my take on it.
My final thought on it is it's the previous generation's job to instill the values in the generation coming up.
Right.
And one of the things that has been lost over the years is the fact that marriage has value and what values they are. And it's not so much that those values aren't taught, but those values were let go of in our parents' generation, a lot of them. And then those values were lost. And so this new generation is coming up on this effectively new thing called marriage because they ain't really see it like that. They know it exists. Those people are married. Those people are married, but nobody in my community is. They don't see it. You know how many times I've heard, I'd get married, but I've never seen a happy relationship. I've never seen a good one.
So many times.
So many times from men and from women. It doesn't matter. Like, I've heard it so much. It's kind of like, well, I can't fault you for that. I can't fault you for not wanting something you have no real concept of.
Right.
Outside of some sort of esoteric premise that says, oh, these two people are married and that means something. Oh, they can save on their taxes.
Right.
That's as far as it goes for some people because they don't know anything beyond that. They don't know
anything. They have no reference. There's nobody that they can say is happily married.
And for those of us who are married, we don't always show the best representation of what marriage can be, which is why this whole podcast exists.
Exactly.
Because there's a whole rack of us who are happily married and have no issues that can't be worked out with words and with, you know, mutual understanding and a little bit of empathy, but
it's work.
But it is work.
And you need two people that are willing to work.
Fact.
That part. That part.
You need two. So so if that's not the case, I understand where she's coming from. So anyway, these are our words. Make sure you check us out. Make sure you like, you follow, you comment, you do all the special things that we need you to do for the algorithm gods to bless us accordingly. Thank you for all of our followers. We are almost at 3,000 followers.
Yay!
This is amazing.
Shout out to you guys.
Shout out to you guys.
Thank you so much.
This has been amazing 2023 so far. We're going to keep it going. Remember, we are better
together.